Plus, when we get called out, we go into that, there's a sense of urgency when we drive into that parking lot, and if it's blocked or if there's anybody else in there, we could create a dangerous situation. A fire hall is an emergency service and it shouldn't be blocked with donation boxes.
Shriners are a big supporter of burn hospitals, and that's a real catch-22. How do you deal with it? Councillor Cook?
I guess just following up that point, perhaps maybe we should be looking at ballparks as opposed to fire halls.
Yeah, clean and tidy.
You probably get more drinks at a ballpark than you would at a fire hall.
So do we want to defer this and send it back and ask the Shriners if they'd be receptive to ballpark, or I guess it still goes against our policy?
It's against the policy.
No. The recommendation is good. Councillor Scott?
The problem is that we make the policy so that we wouldn't have to deal with showing favoritism to one group versus another. There are plenty of other group areas that people can place. They can ask merchants and they can ask other people. I'm all for the Shriners. I think they do fantastic work. But I also think that diabetes and cystic fibrosis and other groups that have clothing bins and other things do good work too. So I don't think we can, if we've made a policy, I don't think that we can be allowing them to be putting them in. If they wanted to do a one-time thing and do a big can drive or something, that would be one thing. You know, giving them permission to do an event, but this is not an event. It's continuous.
I didn't see that. This is going to be never
If they're
ending.
building it and it's staying there, it's a building.
There's no start and end date. It's not for the summer months. It's
No, they haven't provided any indications of that date.
right. How does council want to deal with it? Councillor Russell?
It goes against the policy unless we do what Councillor Cook suggests, that we suggest that they change the policy and a recommendation of the Shrine to change their policy. Right now it doesn't fit our policy anymore, so we can.
Are you making that a motion? That we don't accept it because it doesn't fit our policy? And that's why staff started here, is because it doesn't fit
Okay,
the
well,
policy.
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that we send a letter to the Shrine saying it does not fit our policy, and thank you for the request. If you would like to request us to use it at recreational fields, ball diamonds, where there may be a better return on the investment.
Still
Against our policy.
No, you could request to change the policy instead of just ask.
They have to ask for a
They
request.
have to ask for it. Yeah, we shouldn't be changing our policy just on what they call. They have to ask for a request for a change of the policy. Because we're telling them it doesn't fit the policy.
Doesn't fit the policy. So the motion is that we,
They don't want to do that, well.
because it doesn't fit our policy, we would ask that they come back with the request of how we could change our policies that might fit on a more appropriate location, i.e. ball diamonds instead of emergency property. Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Just, Mayor, just for example, in our neighborhood, we have a restrictive covenant that says you can't put up commercial signs on property unless you're in the middle of a project. So if there's a roofing project, we allow you to put up Underwood roofing, and at the end of the project, when it's done, away the sign goes. If the Shrine wanted to come back with a time frame that says we will target, but this is a slippery slope. You can't cherry pick which charity you're going to support to amend your policy, so
It's against.
I'm going to support the motion now.
Councilor McGray.
Yeah, it's definitely against policy that's already been established. There are ample opportunities for the Shrine Club to go to a commercial property, ask the landowner if they can set up their bins there. I don't think it needs to be a municipal policy on property.
Deputy Mayor Day?
It was my understanding when we discussed that policy that we were trying to prevent some of these fly-by-night organizations from coming into the municipality. And the Shriners are certainly not a fly-by-night organization. They're well-established. And I'm just wondering whether we're being too restrictive to not consider that organizations like this could have benefit to our community by establishing these collection bins. Obviously, if we can go back, if they're willing to try to encourage us to appeal it on the basis of having these sports parks, I think, it will just open up a discussion for us that perhaps we can just reshape the policy somewhat to allow for some charitable organizations to do these. I think in the future, we're gonna really be reliant, there will be some people that are reliant on the charity of other people, so I don't wanna restrict the opportunity to have charitable services available through municipal property. That's my sense.
Okay. Speak to
Are
him.
you gonna vote 7.4 on this one? Because I made the motion, so I'll be last to speak.
That'll
Or
be
no,
good.
you deal with this? Okay. So then go to the next issue, Mr. Mayor. The next issue has to do with alcohol.
Yep.
And how many times in the past 25 years have we revisited the alcohol policy to be with the times? Policies are not set in stone. Policies are something that are movable. They should be movable. If they're not movable, then we're not being democratic. We've got an excellent report coming up next that says that stag and doe laws have changed and other laws have changed, and we're going to change our law accordingly. And I think it's up to the Shrine to ask for a change to our policy. We don't have to just like that. Let them do it. And then we'll have a discussion and get a staff report on does it make sense.
All in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. So,
We're gonna let the Shrine know you need to appeal, right? Yep. That was the motion.
come up with a better plan. Yep. Okay. Next one dealt with the Memorial Gardens, or 8.8. This is our alcohol policy and the committed events on page 99, and there's a recommendation at the top that the amendments be approved, and also recommends an appropriate percentage of profit generated by the sale of alcohol that should be donated to local charity. Councillor Scott.
Before we get into making a motion on that, the problem that I have with that particular line is what if it is a charitable organization like the Optimus holding an event to raise funds? I mean, that very clearly says I have to give 15% to a charitable organization.
No, you don't. If you
What is
no,
that?
no, if
Down, boy.
I had to talk about this so much later. Because it's the Optimist hosting it, under the way the liquor laws applied, they're able to get a public permit. So policy 58A wouldn't apply. Policy 58A only applies to people who are not charitable or don't have a not-for-profit number, and they need to come to the municipality to be designated a significant event to get a public permit. Under the new laws, myself off the street, when I go to get a liquor license, I can only get a private permit. If I'm a charitable or a not-for-profit, then I can get a public permit, and a public permit entitles me to profit from the sale of alcohol, whereas a private permit does not. So for my event to profit from the sale of alcohol, the municipality then has to designate my event as municipally significant. So what I'm asking in the report is that council provide a percentage that a private permit should, a private individual should have to do for charity to become significant.
So my second part to that question is, Kimball Hall is probably one of the only halls available to have stag and does in, because they're already an Optimist. But you just told me about our Optimist having an event, and their Optimist is continuous then? Or are they going to lose the right to be able to rent that hall out to stag and does?
Can you respond to this or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can speak to that. The Optimus Club in Kimball Hall, if we're holding an event, we can apply for a public license, it's no problem whatsoever. In the situation of the Stag and Doe, they're licensed as private events, and AGCO is increasing enforcement on, you cannot operate the special occasion permit with an intent to make a profit from the sale of the alcohol. You cannot advertise the event, and you must have a guest list available. It has to be invited guests only. Okay? As an Optimus Club, we have no issue with what Brent has here. Okay? It doesn't affect us in any way, shape, or form. Actually, it opens a door for us, because at a council meeting in the very near future, you're going to see I'm quite sure you'll see an application from the Optimus Club that we can have stag and doe type events designated as municipally significant, because the Optimus Club is getting 15% of the take from the bar. Okay.
Councillor Bonster.
I'm going to transfer you to the Director of Community Services. We'll see if we can send them right over the edge on this. I hope you got the high test defense. Anyway, I just,